What is up, everyone? And welcome to a Friday night, Friday evening injection of nostalgia. Um, See, we got a lot of people in the chat already. That's cool. And let me just bring this up because, as always, very much appreciate Ezekiel and your support of the channel. So thank you so much for the super chat, which says, sorry I missed your stream, which of course you never need to apologize for, last night. I caught it on the replay. Awesome hat, by the way. Haha. Thanks for all the shout outs. Happy you are back to streaming. Kind of. And you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. And then we've got, let's see, Ralphie and member damage control. Kurt, what's up? Sheline, do you use a Raspberry Pi in any of your arcade machines? I don't. I know that some people like it and it works for them, but for me, I'd really prefer to use a micro PC. It's just much more powerful and it costs less. But I mean, I know that there are some benefits for people to use Pis and stuff, but no. So to answer your question, I do not. I have before, a very long time ago, but I do not currently. I know a lot of people are using those Android TV things now. We got Gen XJ in here, and Ralphie is ready for some relief. And we got a millennial. Gannon, what's up? What is up? So, should be a kind of a fun show tonight, a little bit different. And I am going to engage our audio. So I need you guys to tell me if the volume's good on this or if it's too loud. Because I don't want it to drown me out. I'm in like a super Chrono Trigger mood today, by the way. I heard like one good song this morning and I was like on the hunt. So let me know in the chat if the audio is okay or if it needs to go down. Actually, I'm going to have to turn it down a little bit because I'm like cringing out. Okay, let me see. So, sounds good. All right, so it's not too loud. We good. Okay. Okay. But you guys can definitely, you're hearing the Chrono vibes in the background. I really like it a lot. All right, cool. So, okay. Getting started off, only a little for the vibes. We're going to be looking at tonight some cool actual footage of arcades in the 90s, like as it's happening, not like going to an arcade that was there in the 90s. It should be fun. And I have some other stuff pulled up that I thought would be fun to look at. And I think like a lot of people would relate to for sure, especially like maybe the older millennials. You know, how old are you, Gannon? And definitely the Gen Xers are going to know. I'm drinking my millennial drink, but I'm a Gen Xer. Shame on me. So yeah, Kurt, you're 43. Oh, okay. You're very close to me. So that's kind of the plan. Where did you curate all the videos from? All from YouTube. Yeah. So I've been working on, and that's what I wanted to lead in with, is that I've been working on, obviously Arcade Legends and the series that I kind of mentioned yesterday, 47, 32, and we got a good range in here. About a 10-year gap. That's good. But anyways, so I'm putting together commercials and video clips, and a lot of times I have to either download or record them and then upscale them. So I was kind of doing that today, and I was like, it would be really fun to do a stream where we go through these 90s arcades and past the Zima. We go through these 90s arcades and take a look at what it was like, because I think definitely most of us in here should remember what it was like to be in an arcade in the 90s. And I'm already losing my voice. So that's kind of the goal. That's kind of how I came up with it. And I was like, I'm just going to do a last minute stream. Screw it. I know that there's going to be some people who are really going to appreciate it. So, but I have a really good, I have like a myriad of videos from different people on here. There is one content creator in particular who has like, I don't know if it's all theirs or if they just collect it and put it up on their YouTube channel, but they have a bunch of really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and switch over here. And I want you guys to see this, because if any of you are fans of Chrono Trigger, this kind of music, you guys check this channel out. They do a lot of like EDM kind of Squaresoft vibe stuff, so it's kind of cool. Let's see. Oh, I'm 29, but recall a lot of late 90s, early 2000s arcade stuff. I dig it. Cool. So anyways, yeah, this is where I got the song from. And if you want to check it out, there you go. Okay, let's get into this awesome arcade journey. All right, so see, this is some of the other stuff I have pulled up. In the video game aisle at Target in 2002. Buying video games at Kmart in 2000. Walking around the San Jacinto Mall, summer of 1991. So there's a lot of really cool stuff. So I'm going to start off with this one. This is in 98. And it's just cool to kind of like see these machines, you know, in their prime or peak era, so to speak. And, you know, see like all these kids playing like in the era. So I'm kind of going to go through these and watch them and pause and talk about them and stuff like that. So get your popcorn ready. Here we go. Sugars. Another reason I like watching stuff like this, even on my own time, is because like if you look at that control panel, not hearing the video. Oh, really? That's weird. Oh, low volume. Okay. Let me see what I can do here. Oh, I'll just do this. Like this, and then we'll go down a little bit here. All right, let me know how this is. Is that good? Much better. Okay. So anyways, it's cool seeing these arcade machines in their prime state, But when you watch stuff like this, especially like for me as a collector, I see things like, so this is in a Dynamo HS5, and I think that Tekken 3, I know it came in conversion kits, but I think that Namco might have made an HS5 dedicated. And if you look at the control panel, I've seen those graphics before, so I know that that's like an actual Namco overlay, which is really cool to see. So a lot of times if I'm looking for information on like a cabinet, I will go try and find videos like this to see what the original artwork looked like, or if it looked like it was in, you know, what type of cab that it was commonly seen in. So this one's cool. And these overlays, I don't know where to find them. Like, I haven't been able to find them. For some reason, like Tekken control panel overlays are just really uncommon to come by. And the ones that I've seen that you can find are the European ones, which are like way different. And they were in like these weird, really oblong dedicated machines that were very beastly, to say the least. So, what's up, Midlife? Welcome. I hope you got a beer and some popcorn, maybe. Good to have you here. Gannon says, I imagine a lot of Tekken cabs either got converted or are private home collection. Yeah, well, the thing is, so the dedicateds came in, Tekken 2 came in an HS5 Dynamo, which is like a very common 90s cab that fighters would go into. But I know that Namco licensed or had, you know, a relationship with them to where they would put a serialized sticker on the back of a Dynamo HS5 if it was a dedicated Tekken cab. And I think it started with Tekken 2, if I'm not mistaken. And that was something interesting that I found out when I was looking for a dedicated, because the original Tekken cab was that plastic bezeled thing that was, you know, just very thick and big. Hey, that's what she said. All right. Yo, what's up? Cyber Siles, going to dinner. Have a great night. Great stream. Keep up the fire. Wanted to stop. Drop a like. Love Cyberpunk 2070. Right on. Have a good dinner. Sometimes I don't either. All right, but anyways, let's get back to this. But I love this control panel. Very cool. And red punch buttons and yellow kick buttons. Every Tekken cab ever up to like tag, I think. So it's cool, you see like the bezel art, you know, the marquee. But it's just there in its purest form, basically. These kids have like these great 90s haircuts, like pre-Y2K. Let's see. Oh, here we go. What does that sound like? Area 51, right? Or maybe Maximum Force. Refreshments. I'm betting on Area 51. Did you hear that little kid scream? He straight up screamed. What is that? Is that Maximum Force? Oh my god, I can't. I think it is. Yeah, it looks like it is. I should have known because I didn't hear like the alien screeching sound. 98. JJ, it's 98. Tekken, right? Yeah, it is. It's maximum force. Well, I was thinking like, you know, peace out, Cyber Styles. You know, in Area 51, like you always hear the aliens dying when they get shot. They're like, rawr, rawr, whatever that weird ass noise is. And Blitz. Vampire robot is a time traveler. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. See, this, like, that is just, that is one thing I miss. Is the atmosphere of an arcade, like being crowded around an arcade machine with other people. Like, generally speaking, everybody's just there playing games and having a good time. And oh man, that's so cool. That's so great to see that. So awesome. Prizes. Gotta get them tickets. Now it's like all arcade games are like actual gambling games. And even like back in the day, you had to have like some level of skill. Ooh, Attack on Mars. There's the Lost World. Can I see anything else? No. Whoa, what is that behind there? Oh, I can't read it. I was looking like right down there. Here we go. Change machine. You remember like, you guys remember having to like flatten out the dollar like violently, you know? You're like doing everything you possibly can. You're like sticking it in between your legs and like pulling it, like trying to get it to be flat so that you can get it in there. And after like the 10th try, you know? It finally accepts it and then spits it back out at you. Oh, brutal. JJ says, I had a buddy that worked at an arcade pizza place in Omaha, my hometown, and he'd steal tokens for us to play for free if we smoked a little weed with him. This is around 83. Oh, wow. Lots of good memories. That's too cool. Good story. What is that, right? What is this? That's a pin, isn't it? Okay, I see what it is. It's one of those weird games. Oh, he's filming the Tekken kids again. Let's see. What is this? House of the Dead? Oh no, Jurassic Park. I remember that. It just doesn't seem that long ago. It does not seem that long ago. That's the trippy part. I mean, that is a beast of an arcade machine. It's got, you know, the lights up there, all the different, like, plastic pieces. You're sitting in, like, a pod that's basically a vehicle. That's crazy. It's, like, looking back and seeing how epic some of these machines were. And like the amount of production value that really went into making them and the detail and everything, you're just like, it's pretty impressive. This 90s kid, he's like, all right, I'm gonna look cool. He's probably got a girl. Just, I'm a fortune teller. Give me a crystal ball. The cute little 90s girl. Yep, playing a skater game, Top Skater. Oh yeah. So this is 98, so there would have been, this would have been like the MVC2 era, you know, Sega era of Virtua Fighter 3, House of the Dead, all that stuff, right? Getting them tokens. You remember the rolls? Who remembers ever getting like rolls of tokens, like an actual roll, and you'd break it open? So fun. All right, hold on. Let me pull these up. Bear from South Carolina says, I never remember anyone staring at me in the 90s with a video camera while I played games. Has to be a time travel. My wife and I think the same going through the playlist. Tokens for tokens. Acne, arcade gaming smiles, and intense staring. Yeah, it's funny though, like, you wonder too, like, whoever filmed this originally, I mean, whether it's our time traveler friend or it was acquired from somewhere else, like, were they young though? Because it would have been like, it would have seemed totally normal if you just had like a kid going through and they're like, I'm just filming, like, you'd been like, all right, like, I'm just gonna play the game. But then you try to look cool, you'd be like, it's like the most cringy 90s cool faces ever. Crypt Killer. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to pull up this comment real quick. A lot of birthday parties. Yeah. Very true. Very good point. Maybe that's what it was. They used to close down Aladdin's Castle by where I lived for birthday parties. And you just be in there like all night. And, you know, the clerks or whatever would go around like opening up the machines with keys and then giving you credits, and it was just like euphoric, you know, as a kid. By 98 I was married and living in Texas, where I still do, so it was more, I wish I could buy a house in Texas. So it was more into PC gaming than arcades, also because so many cabs of that era were fighters. Very true. That was that era. All right, let me double check this. Cool. All right, here we go. Oh my god, that thing looks huge. I don't remember it being that big. Holy cow. Do you guys remember it being that big if you saw it? Huge. What's up, Gwadley? Oh my god, that's so funny. That's like primitive 3D. Get them tokens. It is funny though, like the way that this person's shooting, Bear from South Carolina, because they're really pointing out like key elements of, you know, how arcades worked and what it was. Oh my god. The way they cut that video. Planet Play. All right. That was pretty good. There was some good games in there. You know, I think it's really cool to see a lot of the the cabinets like in their original environments. Now this video is from a channel called MyRetroLife, and he makes basically a video. I think some of it is like footage from his childhood, or maybe all of it is, but it's really cool because he kind of talks about the arcade in 2 different spaces in the 90s. So we'll kind of go through it. Let me see. Okay, yeah, so we'll just...
Genesis, the Power Edge!
Watch it, buddy! Yes! It's the Atari!
Oh my god.
It's enough to make a grown man cry. What are you doing, Tyler? Playing games?
Ghost and Goblin.
For as long as I can remember, I've been playing video games. That's me with my cousin Ryan. I was only 2 years old, but old enough to watch Ryan play Ghosts and Goblins, one of the hardest NES games ever made.
God, I can
It
feel
was the summer of 1988,
that era.
the summer I was introduced to home video gaming.
Yeah.
Before this visit, I didn't even know what a Nintendo or a Sega was. All I knew were games. And before home consoles, playing a game usually meant going to a video arcade.
When you walk into an arcade, any arcade, come with an open mind. An open mind is easy to expand.
This is a gratifying experience, source of self-esteem, enjoyment in life.
You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier.
The video arcade, secluded yet social, a cave of wonders. You found them in malls, bowling alleys, and pretty much anywhere people would congregate. Finding a video arcade was the most exciting part of any family outing.
God, I remember those things from Chuck E. Cheese. Literally, they just had like that. It was like rows of them. And I was like never hugely into it because I would get like really frustrated because I think I was slow, you know? So crazy.
Tyler, come on, hurry up. Over there, game.
Dad was always keen on making sure the hottest arcade games made
Look
their
at
way
those
into our home
beautiful
movies.
cabinets.
Mommy, how you play? Go.
I love looking back on this footage that he shot in the 80s. I was such a small child, and stuff like this I can't really remember, but the evidence is in the video. Check out my mom rocking that 80s hairdo. A year later in 89, she had more of a Farrah Fawcett thing going on.
You have the token.
This was shot at Sega's Time Out
she's
Arcade
cute.
in San Antonio.
All right.
Yeah, Sega was so big in arcades. Their name was...
Wait, hold on. I gotta go back. I gotta see those. So we got Bad Dudes. God, I can't make this one out right here. But those are, yeah, Data East, and then what is that? Burger Time? I can't read it. I can't make it out. But they're so cool. I mean, I can remember being in Aladdin's castle and there was like a center row of Data East cabinets, and it was like RoboCop, Bad Dudes, and a couple others. Vigilante. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, these two, Bad Dudes, Data East, Vigilante is Data East, and then this one I'm not sure. I can't make it out. Okay. So cool.
It was so big in arcades, their name was on the front of the building. And though I was born in the 80s, I was most definitely a gamer of the 90s. This was the era of the beat 'em up. Every kid wanted to be an action hero like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That is 100% true. Like you're lying if you say that's not true, or you didn't really grow up in that era. Like that is 100% true. Oh my God. I mean, this is very split, like KI. What is that, like 95, 94? Oh my God.
And in the arcades, you could do just that. More importantly, the graphics and sound at the arcade were still light years better than what you could get at home. What you are about to see is my dad's best attempt at capturing a 90s arcade moment with me and my cousin Ryan. Filmed at Celebration Station.
This guy is a legend. His dad is a legend. Look, she's doing it. Oh my God. She's doing it. She's doing it with the dollar bill. See, I wasn't lying. You flatten it out, you know, you get the edges flattened out, and then you try and stick it in there, and it'll take it like halfway and put it back out, and eventually it goes in all the way, and you're like waiting, and then all of a sudden your tokens drop. You're like, yes, it worked. Oh my God.
She's a professional at this. Alright, guys.
Too crude. Games Plus says, by that time you're game over. Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny that you say that because it's so true. Like, if you, I mean, I definitely can remember times where I was like running, like panicking, running to the change machine or to my parents to ask for, you know, more money for tokens or whatever so I could continue. Yeah, I mean, usually I don't ever remember it working out. Oh, look at the so this red cab right here is like an old dynamo, and it's a different model of I think those are HS9s, I think, or no, wait, is that an HS? No, I'd have to look at the flyer. Sorry, but anyways, those came in, I think, 2 colors. I think it was like blue side panels and red side panels, and then the bottom half of it was this it was like a grayish white color, almost like an off-white. In 98 I would have been pretty old, like 16. Yeah, I think 16. So JJ asked, so how old would you have been even in 98 or the mid to late 90s? Yeah, I would have been like 16, I think. But anyways, it's so cool, like looking at that whole row. It looks like that whole row of cabs is dynamos. I mean, that's so many arcade machines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Crazy. An awesome game.
Hurry up! Hurry, Tyler, hurry!
There he goes. He missed it. Oh my God, that's so funny. See, I love it. I love it. See, we're talking about things that really happened. It's all unfolding right here. So good. That was in real life.
Oh man, look at that guy. Punch him.
So it's crazy that the other thing about those cabs too is that obviously, I mean, you can rotate the screen, and they would just get like PCB kits and just, you know, throw them in there. So there was like no side art or anything. It was just the cab itself, a marquee, and maybe a control panel overlay. I think those were like kind of common components of an upgrade kit. But anyways, let's move forward a little bit and see if we have anything. Oh, here you go. Some TMNT.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. Sure, we could get this at home on our NES, but the arcade version meant better graphics, better sound, and 4 players.
It's funny, just quick side note, as a kid, when the Turtles came out on NES, I was like, what is this? This isn't the arcade version, and I kind of like didn't like it. And then, you know, the arcade port or whatever came out on NES's TMNT 2, and I was like, yes, like this is so great. But it felt really long compared to the arcade version because there was like extra levels in it. As an adult now, I actually appreciate the first one more than I do the arcade port, because I think it's because I can just play the arcade version now. But it's just a unique game. Fun fact for you. Four-player control deck. Alien.
I decided, honestly, we would be there.
Oh my god. See, but that's a prime example of there was no standard for some arcade games. Like a standard, you know, cabinet that it would come in. Like the standard was whatever was around, like dynamos or whatever. You know, unless it was like this huge epic dedicated cab. Usually Atari cabs were the ones that were uniquely designed and stuff like that. Games Plus says, when I first saw the TMNT arcade, it was jaw-dropping. $5 minimum to beat the game. Yeah, it was really fascinating to be able to walk up to one of those, and it was always crowded at my Aladdin's Castle. And to, you know, just want to get in there to play with all those other people, it was just so cool.
Celebration Station was the greatest arcade in town. Honestly, we would be there all day if we could.
My god. Wait, I just have to look at that one more time. Sorry. Oh my god. That is insane. It's just like so far. Oh, Steve would love that. There's this game. I have total brain fart. I can't even think of what this is called. Dit's move. It's really gonna bug me. But anyways, crazy. Look at that. Just boom. Big, fat, thick row. That looks like this place that's kind of near me called Castle Park. They used to kind of have an arcade like that. There was like a lower level and then an upper level. Oh, actually, no. Actually, you know what? You're right, Games Plus. That is off-road. For some reason, I thought it was a different game that's in a similar style of cab. But they use joysticks, so I'm done. Good call.
All day if we could. Luckily, 2 years later, in April of 1993, I decided I wanted to have my 7th birthday party at good old Celebration Station. At the time, it was one of the few places in town that had a widescreen 6-player XMen Arcade cabinet.
Oh, there you go.
Don't mess with me, or else you'll get frostbite.
Oh my god. Dude, I hated that game. Like, I thought it looked cool, but then when I went to play it, I was like, what is this? It's like playing a racing game that's in molasses. But it looked cool. I'll give it that. By the way, again, shout out to this guy's dad because he is freaking legendary.
Turn key to start. Push clutch while starting car. Push clutch in.
Hard driving.
Can I play, Daddy? Okay, I'm letting go myself.
Was it hard driving or race driving? Weird. Why? Maybe those both existed. Those New Kid on the Block soda cups were awesome. Hard driving. Yeah, okay. For real? Oh man. Well, he's a legend. But race driving was an update. Okay. It still felt like molasses, though. Oh my god. It's like something about those sounds, like those plasticky, like clinking sounds, is just so cool. Like, I don't know, it brings back memories. But you guys know what I'm talking about, like that thicker kind of heavy, you know, plastic that they used to put in games. Just a different time, guys.
Right, like hanging out with your buddies at the local video arcade. Back in those days, video games were still very much a social activity.
Wait, is that
The arcades were home to the hottest graphics, sound, and technology. You couldn't get this on home consoles, not in 1993. But by the middle of the 1990s, with the introduction of 32-bit consoles like the Sony PlayStation, the games we were playing at home started looking the same as they did in the arcade. Sometimes they even looked better.
This is crazy. This is why I want to do, this is why I'm doing that series, arcade versus console, because I think it's going to be so fun to kind of see the evolution, and then where the line blurs, and then where it really becomes, you know, evident that we were getting the same quality and sometimes even better at home. So crazy.
Society was changing. People were staying indoors more often. And there became less and less a reason
Saturn.
for you to go to places like this. I really do miss the good old days of gaming at the video arcade. There was something so special about inserting that quarter or that token and giving it your best, your all. You knew that the game wouldn't last forever, and nothing ever does, but you made the most of it with the time you had.
To the ghost. Come high. Come down. Come down. Okay, shoot. Wait, shoot.
Oh my god. What's up, Voltar? Thanks for joining. Yeah, Ridge Racer, right? You know, me and my sinful ways, I have the arcade 1-up version, but it's the only version that brought home Rave Racer, and that's really why I got it. I did get it on sale though. Discs of Tron. Where did you see that at, Kurt? Oh my gosh. Like in an actual arcade or like for sale? Because if it was for sale, I'm gonna cry. That's a really, really well put together video. Very cool. So if you don't follow MyRetroLife or, oh wow, that's a big channel. Give them a sub. Check out their stuff. Pretty cool. Pretty cool when people share stuff like that. Bragging rights in Gainesville, Florida. Arcade. Wow, that's really cool. All right, so I thought this would be interesting because, you know, it's sure like we have the internet and stuff like that, but 90s footage of a Tokyo video game arcade. You know, this is like very uncommon, and their arcade culture was so much more compact than ours. And like where they had arcade games, and there's so many different things, like the social dynamic of it. But I thought this would be fun to watch. And by the way, if you haven't seen High Score Girl on Netflix, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a very cool little anime series about this kid who's really good at Street Fighter. It's really cool. So if you like that kind of stuff, definitely check it out. All right, let's see what this is. Look at that going down. Okay, real quick, I gotta say this. So when I was in Sydney, Australia, it's not about an arcade, but a lot of these older cities that have, like, you know, just grown up and got, like, you know, massively developed with like big populations have like really cool underground layers, kind of. When I was in Sydney, there was this hidden restaurant called Mr. Wong's, and there was literally like signs, like tiny signs, like on the walls that would lead you into a back alley, and kind of lead you to this door, and you'd be like, oh my god, is like that it? Is that the restaurant? And you know, lo and behold, you walk in and there's cooking going on up top, and you're like, hi, where do I go? And they're like, just go down the stairs over there. And you go down this huge winding flight of stairs, and you know, down below there's just this amazing bar, and the whole setup is just incredible. But this is just another example of the nooks and crannies and how you can find really cool places. Look at those things. I wish I could own one.
店内は50坪ほどの広さ。以前なら決して狭くないスペースですが、
Look at all those
大
Street
型店舗
Fighters.
を見慣れてきた目にはどうしても小さく映ってしまいます。
Hold up, I'm gonna turn this off. There you go.
店長の吉井さんは
That hyper?
インベ
Yeah.
ーダーブームの頃から都内でゲームセンターを経営してきたといいます。
This has got to be early 90s.
それこそ昔でしたらその30坪から50坪あれば十分予算的に入れられれば入れたいですね。それ大型
But you see how, so this is kind of what I was talking about, like what was crazy about Japanese arcade culture. Everything was so compact. Like it was so compact, and you could, like, all their machines were pretty much made to sit down at. And it's weird when you think about it, like in America, you know, all of our upright machines were so big that you had to stand up, you know, to play them. And so it's kind of like interesting to look at that one thing that seems like kind of small, but it was like a huge difference culturally and you know, architecturally between, you know, the United States and Japan's arcade culture. So crazy. But they weren't really focused on the individuality of the cabs as much as they were as the games that went into them. So it's very interesting to think about. You used to own one of those? Oh my gosh, that's really cool.
何百万下手したら何千万しますのでね、仮に無理して入れたところでこういうフリーなお客様が盛り場と違いますので焼却できないんですよ。それでみんなこういう小さなお店は大型などこでもっていうか、うちの場合は入ってないと。
So these are like, so they used to have these tournaments, right? And I'm just going to guess this is for Street Fighter, but they used to have these tournaments, and this is why I was saying you should watch High Score Girl. I'm glad that they're showing this. Is really cool because this is essentially what High Score Girl is about. And it's just really cool. So hopefully they're doing like a Street Fighter tourney. Is it? Yep. Look at how he's holding, because they have the ball top joysticks. He's holding the joystick like this. That's so, like, that's like a common thing that I've seen. Wow. That's so different. I mean, even like when you're thinking about our like Hap style joysticks, just the playability, like the dynamic of that. I mean, like doing a Hadouken with like a Hap style versus doing a Hadouken like that with a ball top. Like that's crazy. Wow. You hear those punk ass kids in the back like I cannot tell you how many matches of Street Fighter I had where it was like so close and either I lost or the other person lost. I had so many, and it's like literally like the adrenaline running through your little body is like mind-blowing, like the excitement. It's so crazy. Okay. All right, so let's check out this other one. Holy cow, it's already 5:56. Okay, so arcades in the 80s. I know we were mainly looking at 90s, but this is 1989, so I thought it was kind of cool because it's like a bridge. And this is also like a time period when arcades were kind of like flatlining and we're just about to really start to make a comeback. Wait, what is this? Walking around San Jacinto Mall in summer of 91. Yeah, I wanted to hit that one too. So we might go over an hour a little bit. But whatever. This is 89. What's that yellow cab in the back? Is that a change pusher? The mom's like, all right. She's sitting there holding her wallet. Oh my God, Star Wars. Look at that. Look at that bezel. Thing is such a beast. You know what? That reminds me. I think I might have gotten something in the mail. Okay. Anyways. I remember playing this the most at Disneyland Starcade. That was like where I went ham on Star Wars. And Sorry, I had to reload this. That's where I like had the most playtime on that machine ever. And I would watch my dad play it too. If you guys have seen Arcade Legends, I think I talk about it in the second episode. So you remember playing it there, Ralphie? That's so crazy. It's cool. We're cool. There you go. Those look like Atari cabs. I didn't see what they were, though. The light was kind of bouncing off of everything. What is that? Oof. Can't see like the camera focus. Look at that bezel. See, again, and that's like one of those quality things about all the cabs that came from that time frame, like the attention to detail, especially like the 80s specifically. There was a lot more. Each cab was like its own unique design. You know, it wasn't like in the 90s where you had a row of dynamos. It was like each cab had its own unique design, or it followed a design, you know, like Atari series arcade cabs. So yeah, it could be SP. Oh my god, I feel like I need to like rewind this. Wait, let's slow it down. Can we slow it down? Isn't there a way to slow the video down? Hold on. What is going on here? Let me see. Playback speed. Ooh, I got it. I got it, guys. Here we go. Let's see. Moonwalker. Wait, what is that? What is this right here? All right. We got Moonwalker. What is that in? Is that even like a normal Moonwalker cab? Maybe it is. Maybe it's just the blur. Dude, I can't. Crazy. Okay. I can't make those other ones out. It's too much drag. Oh, you can hear a Street Fighter. That's Street Fighter 2. World Warrior. Was CE out? CE didn't come out until 90, right? Oh, 93 now. So same arcade, but in 93. Oh, there's a Street Fighter back there. What kind of cab is that? Oh my god. I want one. Inside the Claremont Pier arcade during video games' golden years. JJ, to answer your question, I have one more video up here. I think. I'm kind of curious just to see like what is in here though, because this is Golden Age arcade. Is there really a difference between 70s and 80s designs? I would like between 70s and 80s. I wouldn't say there's necessarily like a difference in designs. I would just say like the one thing that it has in common is that each arcade machine had its own unique design. And I would say more so in the 70s, there wasn't like a standard, like each cabinet was designed completely different for each game. Whereas in the 80s, you know, Atari had, for example, you know, like Centipede and Kangaroo and, you know, a few other games that were in the same exact design of a cab, but they had their own unique control sets. But then in the 90s, you get like, you know, the standardized like Dynamo cabs and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say they were like generic though. I would just say because generic would be like, in my opinion, it would be like a Dynamo HS5 that you just put a PCB in and then, you know, that's it. Like, that's more generic, I think, to me. No graphics, just a marquee and a game in there. So, yeah. But anyways, yeah, so it's 6:03. So I'm going over a little bit. I mean, I didn't even look at. Sorry, I just want to like look through this. Oh, look, there's the Simpsons. So they are in. Okay. Oh, that's the same game. That's funny. All right, well, let's take a look at this one.
Walk around the game room. Go over and stand by the Simpsons.
That is a big arcade.
Well, this thing hurts your shoulder.
Here, you show me.
Okay, just a second.
Okay.
There's Stun Runner.
Stun Runner. All lonely in that corner. So 91 would have been like this would have been when like the arcades were really starting to come back. You know, if you don't remember or if you weren't there, of course, Ralphie. But yeah, 91 was like the year where, you know, it was like they had Neo Geo was coming out, which was obviously, it was like something new because, you know, you could pick 4 games in it. And, you know, they had these Konami games, and Street Fighters were getting really big. So a living Stun Runner cab in the wild. Yeah. I remember Thunderblade and Stun Runner were ones that I really thought were cool when I was little, and they had both of them at my Aladdin's Castle. The crazy thing is that arcade wasn't a really huge arcade. Like, it was, but it wasn't. It's not like a mall arcade where it's like this, where it's huge and just spread open everywhere, and there's like literally cabs everywhere. It was much more compact. But they got like a lot of good games, like all of the really good games. Oh my god, that hair. That outfit. Skee ball.
Let me get some token.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it off.
Okay, so we're hanging out over at the
There's anything in the air.
Let's see here. You can tell when somebody gets a new camcorder.
Because they were recording everything. Yeah, they didn't have too much, but there's a part in there where you can see just how huge that arcade is, and that's like a big mall arcade from the early 90s. And I do remember having one near us that you would go like down, you take the elevator down, and it was huge like this. Orange Julius, oh my gosh. That sounds really good right now. A strawberry banana smoothie from Orange Julius, or just like a regular plain Orange Julius. So good. But anyways, I mean, you guys can see, and there's 2 sides to it, obviously. But I mean, just how open and huge it is. And I don't ever remember going into an arcade like this until the early 90s. I always remember being in arcades that were more condensed, but they had a lot of games in them, like a lot of games. So I real quick just want to like kind of look at this. I want to see if there's anything good. like, how did they even film this? It's got to be like 8mm, right? Did anybody's parents have an 8mm camera? I mean, this is old school. So it says gaming's golden years, and like I think the golden age of arcades is really falls into like the late 70s, you know, maybe very early 80s, depending on who you are. It's just so crazy. But anyways, so a lot of the arcade games that they had, there was like a good mix of like more kind of like analog style arcade games and pin, and then like, you know, video game arcade games back in the day. Wow, that's really cool, Ralphie. That's very cool, actually. But they're like very... Oh, here we go. You can see over here. There's some cool ones. This dude's like, what the... Scroll around. Why is he only sticking in this one spot? All right. Look at these cool guys. Very, very nostalgic. So anyways, that's pretty much like everything that I had for the nostalgic part of the show. And it's so cool. Like I really like like stuff like this. It's really fun to share it with people. You know, people who've seen it and know it, like then they kind of get to relive it and talk about the experience. And then people who haven't are like, whoa, wow. And so there's a lot of variety in here that, you know, takes us through the 80s into the 90s, and that kind of just really amazing period of arcade games. I mean, there's just not much else I can say. It was just freaking awesome. You know, everything that, the way it was set up, the way that the hold on, let me adjust this. I think I'm gonna have to adjust it. That should be, is that all right? Okay. Anyways, it's really fun to look at it and to remember. And it's just like the little things, like, you know, flattening a bill out to get it into the change machine, and all these other crazy nuances that you remember when you see stuff like that. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that part of the show. It was really fun, like looking at all that stuff. I hadn't watched through. I think I'd only seen like one of those, like bits and pieces of one of those that I was looking at, because I was looking for clips earlier. So I wanted to do like a reaction, and just pull up a bunch of them so that we could all kind of look together. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. And again, I'm going to be working on this new series called Arcades versus Consoles. So that first kind of show that we watched, what was it? Or no, maybe it wasn't. It was like the third one, Arcade Games in the 90's, by MyRetroLife. Had a lot of really relatable points when he was talking about the transition from arcades to consoles. And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to do a show like that. So I'm excited to work on it. I'm excited to bring that to you guys and breathe life into a show like that. I mean, how many of you can remember getting a console port? And I'm talking about like let's say Street Fighter 2. Like the biggest thing I remember about Street Fighter 2 was thinking like, dude, like this is really good, but it's it's not quite the arcade version, especially the Super Nintendo version, because they didn't have the intro where the two guys were fighting. And they just took certain things out of it. You know, it sounded different. It looked a little bit different. The sprites were smaller. And I always noticed like all the little differences between the arcade version and the home version, you know. Granted, it was really cool to have the SNES or Genesis version and be able to play it at home. But you noticed, you know, you noticed all these little differences. So that's one of the inspirations for doing the Versus series. So, Ralphie, wow, you are on a drive. Oh, it is Friday at 6 in the afternoon, so I could see how you'd be moving slow. But yeah, you know, you're stuck in traffic. Hey, think about all those great memories you have from the 80s and 90s, right? You know, if you're in the chat, guys, let me know if you remember getting a console port and thinking like, this is cool, but you really wished that it had, you know, certain elements that were missing from the arcade version. What game was the first game that you really felt like you just got the arcade version at home? Oh yeah, Fast Track. That's good. That's another good one. Let me know what the first game was, if you came from that era, that you got at home and you were like, oh my God, this is like perfect. It's just like the arcade. Soul Calibur on PS2. So yeah, I really thought that, I mean, like, definitely that generation was like the generation where you felt it. But it was like Tekken Tag on PS2 versus the arcade. It was like you were getting upgrades. You know, you were getting massive upgrades coming from the arcade version. It was crazy that there was like this massive leap in the way that graphics looked, you know, between the arcade and the home port. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. That was such a cool game, and it's so funny because it was ported to like every console, including Game Boy. And you're like, looking back now, like, why did we need 20,000 ports of this game? But you wanted to play it. Like, I mean, I wanted the Game Boy version. I was like, this is cool. You know, I don't have a gun, but it's cool to sit here and play it in my hands. That was like one of the really cool things about getting good Game Boy ports. It's crazy that they ported arcade games to the Game Boy platform when you think about it. It's pretty crazy. But then if you had a Super Nintendo or a Genesis, you know, you had the Super Scope. And I can remember on T2, I remember thinking like the sounds and the sprites just didn't look as good as the arcade, but it still looked good and it was still fun to play. I thought that the Super Nintendo version was closer to the arcade than the Genesis. ColecoVision's Pac-In game, Donkey Kong. Yeah. Dragon Ball Z. I didn't know that was in the arcades. Was it? There's so many though. Like Shadow Dancer on Genesis, which I appreciate 20 times more now. But Shadow Dancer in the arcade, the mechanics of the game were pretty much exactly the same. But the levels were totally different. And the graphics were different on the Genesis version. And I remember being disappointed with that. But then I remember, you know, actually really liking the game. Like I really liked the game, even though it wasn't like the arcade version. Nintendo road shows at the mall. Yes. Yes. I definitely saw one of those. And I want to say it was during the NES era, but I want to almost say it was like right when Game Boy was coming out. Like that holiday season when they were releasing the Game Boy. And they even had like, they set up like a kiosk, right? Was there a kiosk at yours? But I do remember that. I remember Nintendo being a big thing in the malls during the holidays. What's crazy is I remember the first time I saw Nintendo, I didn't even know that they existed because I grew up on Atari. And I went over to my friend's house, and at this time I must have had like, an Atari 800 or something like that. And I went over to my friend's house, and he was playing a Nintendo. He was playing Mario. Like the first, he had like the deluxe set or whatever. And he was playing Mario, and I saw the little robot and the light gun, and I'm like, good God, what is this magical device? What is this? And that was the first time that I saw it, and that must have been in like, God, I don't know, maybe like 80, would have been 86, 87. Let me look here. Let me see something. Cause I lose track of time sometimes. Yeah, it was probably like 86, I think. And that was the first time I saw Nintendo. Anyways. And then, of course, I like begged my parents to get one because I thought Mario was I was just blown away by Mario. It was so fast and it felt more like the arcades or whatever. And my friend was like, his parents were well off, so they would get like all the games. I mean, they had cases and cases of NES games by like 88, 89. And where's the joystick? Yeah. Yep, totally true. All right, JJ, thanks for joining. So anyways, yeah, that was the first time. But I do remember thinking that, what was another one? RoboCop in the arcade versus the Nintendo version. Like the Nintendo version was garbage. I saw like not long ago, the Angry Video Game Nerds like review of the NES version of RoboCop, and I was like, everything he was saying, I was just dying because it's so true. You're like, what were they thinking? And I remember wanting the Game Boy version because I thought the Game Boy version was more like the arcade, and it was. I mean, it is more like the arcade. The Nintendo version was terrible, or the NES version. But it was like little things and certain games, and it's just so weird. I was always fascinated, though, when they would port an arcade game to Game Boy, because it was like then you had it in your hand, like you could take it with you anywhere. And it's like now you want the original thing, like this big ass thing taking up space. It just seems silly. So, yeah, RoboCop versus Terminator on both ports was awesome. But was that an arcade game? I do not remember that being an arcade game. I mean, I could be totally wrong. There's games that I didn't learn about until much later that were arcade games. So anyways, I'm going to be working on shooting some of the footage for the first episode of Arcade versus Consoles. And I was thinking about making a request thread for the series. And I was trying to figure out like what the most efficient way to do that would be, because I can't like pin a community post. At least I couldn't before. I'm gonna actually want to like double check that right now, which is weird. It is weird. Weird. Yeah, so I don't think it'll let me do it. Oh Lord, I think my mouse battery is dying on my desktop because it's on the struggle bus right now. But anyways, yeah. I know there's like stuff going on in the 3/4 scale community right now. So I'm probably like beating a dead horse. But I really enjoyed the nostalgia of tonight's stream and appreciate y'all that came and hung out. Yeah, there's gonna be footage of both. So, and I'll be talking over it about like the differences and what made it good and what made it better or worse. So I was thinking like, do I do it like on a linear timeline? Like, do I start from the beginning, or do I pilot it with somewhere in the middle? And I think I'm going to pilot it with somewhere in the middle, just because it would be fun to see how it does. So then I might go back and kind of do somewhat of a more linear timeline, but there's so many games to choose from, so many games to look at. I saw somebody say Clay Fighter. No, Clay Fighter was not in the arcades ever. Does anyone remember the Nintendo? Oh yeah, no, I read that. Yeah, so I'm excited for it. But Ralphie, I got about 5 more minutes. So, that's what I got. That's what I can give you. But yeah, for all you who have hung out, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And again, let me know what you guys think in the chat. I can go back through and look later. If there's any games that you guys are interested in, as far as seeing like arcade versus console, or what you remember and you'd like to see a comparison, to see what stood out for me. And I'm sure it would be relatable. And hopefully I'll be able to get that first one out. I'm trying to get it out by Sunday. I have some work to do this weekend, like schoolwork. But other than that, I'm like not very busy at all. So, Red Face Gaming, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's what it's all about. Sorry, I had like a hair stuck in my leg. Anyways, y'all have a freaking outstanding weekend. If you got any last minute questions, drop them in the chat. But y'all have an outstanding weekend. Be safe, spend time with your friends, family, loved ones. Or if you need to spend time with yourself, just do that, and get some gaming in if you can. And just enjoy yourself in general. But I appreciate the support. You guys coming through and hanging out in live streams, it supports the channel a lot, believe it or not. And yeah, it's really all I can say. Am I gonna stream Cyberpunk soon? Yes. I'm hoping to get one in tomorrow night, actually. But we'll see. My schedule can kind of change sometimes, like last minute in the evenings usually. So we'll we'll see. But that's the plan. I'd like to get one in tomorrow, and then I'd like to have the first episode of Arcade vs. Consoles put out on Sunday. I'm going to shoot for a Sunday morning release. Hopefully I can make it. But we will see. Ralphie, you drive safe. Okay. And get yourself some Chili Willy chill when you get home. Yeah, gaming and blazing. Good for you. So y'all take care. Y'all have a great weekend. Again, appreciate you. And until next time, I'll see you all then.